Thanks for watching Blitz. I'm Brian Carr here at Jefferson High School with Dragons head coach Gene Cathcart. Coach, always a pleasure getting to talk football with you. I know you got to be just as excited as we are to kick off the season.
Oh, no question, Brian. It's that time of year, and we're coming up on a scrimmage, and then a couple of weeks away from playing. And appreciate you coming by, and appreciate all y'all do covering high school sports and high school football in this area.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and let's talk a little bit about kind of coming into this season. Not wanting to reflect too much on last year, but, man, you guys got bit by the injury bug quite a bit last year, and in some ways that was a good thing. But how much of your focus coming into this season is trying as best you can to prevent injuries?
Well, there's no question. We've kind of looked at every aspect of our program, our medical sports medicine part, our strength training and conditioning part, our practice schedule, everything, and just tried to, what we found, is that we, are fortunate to be blessed with great facilities, great folks that care for our athletes. We, it's unfortunate, but the vast, the injuries we had last year, the vast majority of them were contact injuries in live play. And so, certainly, like you said, a lot of those guys have rehabbed. They've come back stronger, and it also allowed us to gain a lot of experience last year with maybe some young men that wouldn't have ordinarily gotten to play.
Yeah, and that's actually where I was going to go next. So that was kind of the blessing in disguise, is getting some of these guys that are maybe a year or two away from really getting that heavy playing time to really get their feet wet. I don't know how difficult does that make your job this year in terms of trying to keep those guys. You said a lot of them have rehabbed and come back that suffered the injury, which then still blocks some of those guys that were younger. So how do you kind of keep them fresh and keep them from sitting on the shelf and collecting dust, so to speak?
Well, the good thing about football is it's a meritocracy, and you earn what you get and you get what you earn. So, we've got a bunch of competition for a bunch of spots, and hopefully have some depth, and that's always something as a coach you're very concerned about. And, as to whether or not they're happy with the amount of playing time they get, they'll get what they earn, and the beauty of it is it's steel sharpens steel. So it's improved our practice competition. It's improved the intensity for the competitions for certain positions, and then it's allowed us to really have some quality teaching film on some younger players that maybe we wouldn't have ordinarily had if they hadn't gotten to play quite as much.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with I think it's great to have some healthy competition. It definitely, especially at the quarterback position, but I know this year I would assume that Colby Clark, is this the year that he's should get all the snaps, or Carter Stevenson kind of worked his way into that conversation, but being that Colby's a senior and has the experience, how are we going to see the two of them are they going to split time, or is this Colby's team to run under center?
Well, and hopefully, through camp, fall camp, and the scrimmage, and we'll see. I know that Colby's had a great off season. Carter did a wonderful job positioning us last year. We were, with our injuries, we're 7-1 and playing in a region championship game, and weren't really thrilled how we finished, but he did a great job. Certainly Colby has the experience factor, and it's certainly his job to lose, but Carter's waiting in the wings and will contribute on defense in the secondary. And then Malachi Starks is one who will play a multitude of positions, and we just got to figure out ways to get him the ball, and whether it's at quarterback during certain packages, or at running back, or at slot receiver, we know we've got to get him the ball. So.
And you kind of alluded to this. I mean, not the finish that you guys wanted last year in the region championship game against Monroe area, and then also in the first round of the state playoffs, but still a solid season looking at what you guys had to endure. And kind of sets up, to me, I think, the perfect storm this year. You got so many key players back from last year. You got all that experience, all that depth. I think the offensive line, defensive line is pretty well intact. Defensive secondary, I believe, is all coming back too. So you got so many pieces. If we were going to say that this could be the year, do you think this could be the year that Jefferson has a chance to go all the way?
Well, shoot, I don't know. I mean, I think we're blessed to be at one of those schools that is a small pool of schools that if we're able to stay healthy and improve during the year, we certainly have all the resources and players and things necessary to make a run on any given year. I think a lot of that will be, based on those externalities, what we can and can't control. I know, our schedule is very difficult. I think 9 of the teams we play were in the playoffs last year, and I think our region is much improved. Certainly a lot of folks are projecting Hart County to win the region, and Monroe was last year's region winner, and Morgan had won it several years before that, and new coaches at East Jackson and Jackson County, they've been very successful, and Paul at Franklin County was a extremely successful coach in South Carolina. Has been friends of mine or us for a long time, so it's quite a challenge in the region, and we open with an LSU commitment, the fourth-rated drop-back quarterback in the country, so much improved Gainesville team, a Southside team from South Carolina that made the Final Four, and a much improved West Hall team. So you go throughout our schedule, and we certainly know there's not a night off, and we're excited about it, and a lot of it just depends on things like chemistry and injury avoidment, and if certain people maybe step up in certain roles, and your great players play great, your good players play good, and then you find some surprises along the way who are really good high school players. So big deal graduating our four-year snapper and our four-year kicker. Special teams is something we've excelled in here and hope to continue. And we did graduate Zach Corbin and Samuel Agreed and Garmin Randolph, who've been playmakers on both sides of the ball for us. So like every high school team, even with the returning experienced players, we've got some key positions to fill. But we've had good competition, and excited to see where this team can go.
Yeah, like you said, there's not a night off, not a bye week in your schedule, really, so to speak. So, but that could prove valuable down the stretch. If this team, I hate to put you on the spot here, but if this team's going to be in a opportunity to play maybe in one of the final weeks for a region title and make a deep run in the state playoffs, what would be the three components you think this team needs to do? Like, what are the three things you're telling these guys that they need to do this year?
Well, I think first off would be, the special teams component we've mentioned. That's something Jefferson's been good at for a long time before I got here, and something we've taken a lot of pride in. And there's a lot of holes to fill, and it's everybody says that's 1/3 of the game, and it really seems like it's more than that. But I would say number one, really make sure that we're sound and solid in the special teams area. Number two, we've got some younger guys in the secondary particularly, and we don't have a lot of depth of big bodies. We've got some returning players, but we don't have a lot of size. So certainly defensively, limiting the big play in the secondary, and then then as physical a presence as we can on the defensive front. Again, being a little bit undersized, but those guys run well. So and then offensively, just a growth into we've kind of gone to an option type of attack, which isn't very popular, but it fits the kids that we have. We have three quarterbacks that can run the football, make great decisions, can hit their head on the goalpost. We've got a ton of skilled wingback, slot back type guys, from Don Shea Gaither to Malachi Starks to Jordan Perry to the Colton and Levin Jones, Hunter Blayton. A lot of guys who've run the football for us very successfully. And then, assuming Cade comes back with McNally at 100%, and Paxton Corkery is, also a college prospect at fullback, and Jacob Thompson got some time last year. We feel like this is just what suits us. And, offensively, I think probably some of those young receivers with Sammy Garmin and Zach graduating, being able to convert some third downs and make big plays, play action in what we do. So I would say those three phases are kind of, that's what we're telling each of those three phases as to what, for us to be successful, we have to do.
Absolutely. I have a feeling it's going to be a special year, Coach. Thank you again so much for your time. Looking forward to it, and hope we rack up a lot of W's this year.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Coach.